avoid to the extent possible the issue that Dan Phelan had with regard to the car. We do know, I can assure you that Benita Richardson is a very fun person. So when we all get together, you'll be able to see that. And we've heard so much about all of you in terms of the work that you're doing in partnership with the regional network chairs. And we're just happy that we have the vast majority of our team on the call today so we can talk about where we're going and what the expectations are for year 3 as we continue to move this project along. You've received the materials in a zip drive, and we'll move through those fairly quickly. We do want to get to the point where we hear from you both in the regional network, the voices of the regional network chairs, but also as we talk a little later and open it up for some for discussion. So why don't we start with that now, Anne? We'd like you to share your ideas and plans for year 3, and we've given each of the network chairs about 4 minutes max. We will be timing you because we want to make sure, again, that we, to the extent possible, that we end on time today. So, Anne, we'll turn it to you and Ned for anything that you would like to share as you think about year 3.
Sure, absolutely. So I'll say we're really focused on the end of this year, beginning of next year. One of the things that's come through is the need to connect these ATE grants to workforce. And we know that colleges have different abilities in terms of using labor market information to drive some of those programs and understanding regional workforce needs that would help them set a good table with industry partners. So we're thinking of starting this year off with a 2-part virtual workshop. The first one would engage our labor market information folks at NOVA to talk about how do you access labor market information, who might be good partners in various regions depending on institutional capacity, and then how you can use that in terms of framing your application and your workforce focus. And then the second part, we're thinking that first part would probably happen in November after the October kickoff for CCPI-STEM at the national level. And then in January or early February, what we would do is then host some of our industry partners and ask some of the community colleges to bring their potential industry partners to the Zoom to talk about how do you build that effective industry partner relationship that would help drive success. So really in this year 3, focusing on how do you build and strengthen those industry relationships.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Pam Luster not with us today, so we'll go to Ellen, who will present on behalf of Jennifer Wimbish.
Okay, thank you so much. So first of all, we're focusing in on just this next quarter. So we've really looked at what is CCPI presenting as far as their workshops, and then how do we their web cast, and how do we really piggyback back and bring that information more directly to our particular region. So for example, on the October 13th reporting on findings, we want to do a think tank with all of our region to help them to understand and understand what the findings are and how they can directly apply it to their particular locations. And then in October, we're also going to be doing a follow-up session with all of our campuses that went to Force Mentor Up and Mentor Connect. We wanted them to come back and share that information with all of the colleges in the regions. And I sent out an email actually just yesterday and got a really favorable response. People were eager, excited that they could share the information from those 3 programs. So we're looking forward to that in October on October 17th. And then at the ATE conference, Jennifer and I talked about to try to figure out some way, and Fran, I'll probably need your help with this, on who from the Southwest region actually has attended that conference, and try to have a discussion meeting with them more closely related to what their needs are and what they're thinking about over the next year and for the next cycle for funding. And then we're real excited that you are sponsoring the session for small and rural colleges. And we are again going to piggyback on that, bring our local people from the Southwest region to really identify how that information helps them, what information do they still need, and do that session right after, do a small and rural college session. And then again, of course, we just feel it's real important with information that's related to serving minorities, serving institutions, that we again follow up with those colleges to see how that impacts them and how it helps them. So our goals for this next year is to really focus a little bit more on faculty involvement, making sure that faculty can be a part of these discussions. We also want to develop a stronger media presence. Jennifer and I both are horrible with social media. So we're looking for someone that can help us with the social media platforms so we can get the word out to the various colleges. And then to see what other conferences are available either nationally or locally that we can partner with to present this CCPI information, and also partner with partners to get information into their newsletters or their website. So we really want to focus in that area to get that information out so people can then give us feedback.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. And we know that Frank Chung is not with us, at least currently. And so Dan, we'll go to you.
Thank you, Dr. Dukes. Thanks. Again, I can't get my video working, so I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah. We just, in fact, we just finished up a great webinar yesterday. We had Josh Berkey, who's the Director of Grants and Sponsored Programs at Parkland College. He is a phenomenal young man who is over in Champaign, Illinois, and just a masterful presentation that he provided yesterday to attendees. I bring that up because I think that that's powerful insofar as that you can engage people in real time with Q&A, but also it provides a recording then that we can make available and share out on media that people can be able to see, and it's really archivable and I think helpful. We're paying, of course, we're out in the Midwest, so we're paying really close attention to small institutions as well, how they ramp up for grant writing, even when you don't have a grant writing office. Beyond that, so we're going to continue to have a steady diet of webinars over next year. In addition, Jesse and I will be sending out a survey to all of the community colleges in the 4-state region to get more particular. We've done this before. This one will be a little bit more focused, and hopefully we have a better response rate from community college presidents to find out specifically what can we put together in terms of additional webinars, media, materials, whatever else that they might need. We will continue to be sending out a regular stream of materials as we find them from ATE and NSF. We continue to parse those out to our members. Additionally, I personally am going to be going to, a part of next year, I personally am going to be going to each of the 4 states' annual meetings, or one of their business meetings of presidents, more particularly is the one I really want to get to. I'll go to the annual meeting if I have to, but I want to get to a president's meeting and be able to speak to them face to face and give them some examples if possible, maybe take someone along with me who's got successful experience, encouraging them obviously to be able to submit and take advantage of the various programs we have with this. Furthermore, I'm going to also, part of my goals is to make sure that I'm touching base with the board chair of the president's groups in each of these community colleges, excuse me, each of the 4 states Community College Presidents Association, to make sure that I'm continuing to get out there and if possible on a regular basis, be able to jump on a webinar while they're having a president's meeting. So those are the big targets that we're going after, in addition to some of the good comments you've heard from some of my colleagues here as well. We continue to drive workforce issues. We're doing that work on our own. We're sharing out our own experience with regard to grant development. We've not received one, so it's nice for us to be able to use examples of our own experience to help drive commitment and engagement by smaller institutions. That's where we're seeing a particular need here in the Midwest. So that's our plan for next year.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dan. And then we'll go to Ed. You might be you're on mute, Ed.
You scared me a while ago and I went to mute. I plan to follow the same model I've been doing over the last couple of years. I like to deal with people face to face. So I've been going to the different colleges, and so that generates work that we will continue into the last 2 years and try to get more definite about the submission of a proposal and to work with individuals that have shown a great interest. We have interest in Alabama from the Alabama state system and also from a couple of colleges in Alabama. And you've heard me mention before Lockheed Martin in Alabama. They're still interested to become a business partnership. And for those of you that be going to ATEPI conference, Nick D'Antonio is the training manager for Lockheed Martin, and he will be at the conference this year as a business representative. Worked hard with Mississippi and Georgia and have a couple of schools going in each of those 2 states that we'll move forward and get more specific with. Also, a call last week with North Carolina. North Carolina is interesting now with the change in board selection and president selection in North Carolina. They kind of worried about that a little bit, but met with the head of the North Carolina system and also set up a meeting for November to meet with the President's Association. And also the head of the association was in the call a couple of weeks ago. November moving in also, my main targets moving forward these next 2 years are going to be North Carolina and South Carolina, not dropping any of the others, but really zeroing in on those 2. I'll be going to Florence, Darlington in South Carolina, and it's actually for a trustee workshop or retreat, excuse me. But also I plan to go a day early to work with them a little bit more on ATE and what we can do there and what are the contacts within the state that would be best for me to make. And then after the hurricane season, plan to go to Puerto Rico, but I don't want to go during the storm season. It's too rough. And the same thing that some others, Ellen, Dan, and others, we need to hear more about what the colleges need. So we're planning a roundtable. We don't have a date on it yet for affiliates and other schools in the 6-state region in the Southeast for a roundtable to not tell them about it, but to listen to them and try to evaluate what needs that we can help them with. And so that will be coming probably in December. It may be the first of the year.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Charlene?
Okay, as you might imagine, as a brand new person, I am balancing being president and my new responsibilities with the grant, with this project. Benita and I started identifying presidents in West Virginia and Ohio. Our goal, I have a letter ready for them. And one thing that I've talked to one of our faculty about, we're opening a brand new workforce building that's mostly science-based. And there is a faculty member at the college who is very successful at writing ATE grants. And so I've asked him to consider being part of a webinar on his experience and also with one of our grant writers and make it available to the presidents in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Ohio. I've met with Dr. Bullock at our college and asked him for his help. He's pretty well connected to presidents, not only in Pennsylvania, but in other states, and he's been very helpful. He introduced me to Dr. Tuesday Stanley, who's the chair of the Pennsylvania President's Commission. And we've asked her to put me on the agenda for the Pennsylvania presidents to do a presentation to them about the project using the PowerPoint. And so I'm just waiting to hear back from her when that's going to happen. I also talked to him about doing a presentation to the trustees in the region. He said there is a president's joint meeting with their trustees annually, and he'll do what he can to help me get on that agenda too. And so that's the first thing. I've also had a conversation with Dr. Roger Davis, president at Beaver County Community College, and he's going to join me at the ATE conference with someone from the Shell Corporation in Pennsylvania. So I'm really excited about that. Let's see. And some of the things that you all have said have been great ideas. I think that another webinar, having people who've been mentored or going through Mentor Connect, working with Mentor Connect, I think is a great idea. So Benita and I will be talking about that after this. So I'd like to do 2 webinars this year. We're going to do outreach to the presidents in, like I said, Ohio and West Virginia. Benita and I are going to give them a survey, try to find out how much they know about the grant process, and talk to them individually, offer to talk to them individually about becoming part of the partners for us, and then connecting with presidents at the conference. So any ideas you have about Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Ohio would be greatly appreciated. But I would really like to do presentations to all the presidents in both West Virginia and Ohio too. So once Benita and I get that letter out and focus on getting their opinions about what they would like, then we'll set it up. So,
Okay, thank you.
Fran.
Thank you all very much for that. I will say, and Fran, you can take the agenda off the screen, if you don't mind, if you stop sharing. And I think we have all of the materials. So if we have the opportunity to certainly look at each other, I think that works better for me. The other thing I'll say, Fran, is that Jane Karras and Suzanne have sent me an email. They're having a hard time connecting through the link. So if you could send, I did send the link to Jane, but if you could send it to Suzanne, they'll join us as quickly as they can. All right. I think our next item on the agenda is to talk about the role and responsibilities of the regional network chairs, certainly followed by role and responsibility for the coordinators. The great thing about this is that each of you has shared some information that lets us know that you are moving forward and moving forward quickly, given the purpose of the grant, which is really to galvanize institutions, as particularly community colleges, of course, as we continue to think about the role that community colleges can play in innovative and transformative programs in STEM that help to meet workforce needs, labor needs, and also help to diversify the population of individuals who are going into what we call the skilled technical areas in the STEM area. So we do want to ensure that this program really conveys to our community college partners how NSF ATE grants can really support them as they think about their institutional programs and how they respond to local, regional, and in some cases, national workforce needs. So you know that as part of the role of the regional network chairs, it is simple. I don't want to read the roles and responsibilities to you, but to highlight a few. And that really is much of what you've talked about, establishing those communication strategies with not just your community college partners, but with business and industry representatives. So as Ann spoke about connecting labor data and workforce needs and being able to share that with those partners in the Northeast region, that is something that we look to happen. It's a central part of the grant and where we would like to see outcomes as we continue through year 3 and then certainly into year 4. Blake will talk a little bit about the expected evaluation process and outcomes too when it is her turn on the agenda. Hearing about the need to be more connected via social media and webcast is important to us, because not only do we want to use the platform that we have as part of CCPI-STEM, but wherever we can be of support, as you were talking about your own ways in order to get the message out. We are on social media, so even being able to follow CCPI-STEM, and Beth will talk about that a little later, to follow us and then be able to share those messages, I think within your own networks will be really helpful as well. And we'll talk a little bit later about the numbers of individuals by institution that we have been able to connect with over the course of the past 2 years, and to let you all know that we are doing probably much better than we thought. And it really is all about the contributions that you have been making at the regional level. We're asking you, and you've already talked about, to conduct those at least twice yearly Zoom meetings, or however you want to do it on technology, with community college and business industry leaders in your region. If you have institutions that can be role models, and talk about how they were able to make those connections and what that means as they again meet the local workforce needs, and also give students some things to think about differently as they consider STEM programs. And then certainly again, faculty, as they're thinking about how do you create new programs and enhance current programs that are already underway. We've been working with all of you to maintain a list of the community colleges in the regions, their presidents, and the contact information. So anytime that we can support you in doing more of that, then we stand ready and willing to do so. And then with the RN coordinators, you know that we are expecting that in partnership, the network chairs and the RN coordinators will work together. Along with June Fordham, and she'll talk about that too during her part of today's kickoff, but informing our regional affiliates, our partners about events, mentoring programs, and the like. And I'm going to stop here for a moment, because we know that, Ellen, you mentioned the work that your region had done with connecting some of the institutions to the mentoring, Mentor Up, Mentor Connect, and Force. And Charlene, you mentioned the desire to do so. So I'm going to stop for a moment and ask Liz Tellis to come off mute, because Liz, you said you actually just sent an email about a program that is beginning to generate some interest, and ask if you would share that, and then we can get the specific information out to the regional chairs and coordinators.
Yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity. We've had these mentoring initiatives, but we realized this last year that some people really want to just have someone that they can toss some of these ideas off of and things like that. So this year we've created what's called a pre-mentoring thing, where we can provide one of our qualified long-term mentors for up to 10 hours, where they'll be glad to talk and chat with individual faculty members and help them develop a proposal to the program. I can tell them I'm also involved with Mentor Connect a little bit too. So if you want to send me an email, I'll be happy to do it. But I shared this pre-mentoring thing, and that gives up to 10 hours for experienced mentor who really knows the program to chat with any faculty member or a group of faculty members and a grant writer just about their ideas, and help them develop this one-page thought that'll make them be even more effective next year in the mentoring program.
So you can certainly, thank you, Liz. You can certainly feel free to reach out to Dr. Tellis with regard to some additional information, excuse me. We'll get it as well and make sure that we send it to you. If you have colleges where they'd like some sort of pre-work with a mentor as they begin to prepare an application to participate in the mentor program that's been mentioned. So please don't hesitate. I don't know the timeline, but we'll get all of that information and we'll share it with you.
It's available on our website now so that they can go ahead and apply for that if they would like to go ahead and do that. So, and again, if they then apply to the mentoring program, each of these faculty members can get a small stipend too for agreeing to work with these. So.
Okay, and when you say our website, are you saying CCPI-STEM or are you saying?
No, sorry. Perhaps, you know, we may be able to post it out there, but I'm talking about the Mentor Up website, which is just mentorup.org.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I think the other thing too, and you know, we'll reference and use the word affiliates, but we had a pretty comprehensive meeting with the regional network chairs who indicated that we should think about how we define affiliates and what we might expect from them. So later on, when we show you some information about the numbers of institutions with which you've engaged, we've taken to calling them partner institutions or using some different language so that completing an application or a form, because it's really not an application, it's a form. We don't want folks to think that they are committing to something beyond which we are really offering them in terms of information about how they can move forward through all of the mentoring programs and all of the webcasts and different kind of relationships that can prepare them as they think about applying for NSF ATE grants. We also want to thank you because the data platform is important to us. I think that you're going to get some information about some ways that that platform has been streamlined. Beth will talk about that as well as Blake later today. And we do have to collect data because that's part of our annual report requirements. But we want to make it as simple and as easy as possible. So you'll hear more about that. Also want to thank all of you for sending in information with regard to the ATE PI conference that'll be held later on towards the end of the month of October. I think that we have a really great turnout, and we'll be sending more information with regard to what the schedule looks like while you're there. And we'll also have some time to spend together ourselves as the CCPI-STEM. The RN chairs have been attending the monthly meetings with the CCPI-STEM leadership team and giving us some great things to think about as we streamline the process, make it easier for you to do the work that you've committed to do for this grant. You're going to hear a little later from Vera about some regional spotlights as we think about ways in which we can provide communications that you can share with those institutions in your regions, and that again, to make it simpler for the regional chairs and coordinators, but to also make sure that we're highlighting to the extent that we can every region when we put out a president's press. And then, you know, all of this too is about how we come together and prepare the annual report, because all of the regions have a space within the CCPI-STEM annual report. The information that you shared with us this year that is in the report, and I believe that we attached a copy of it in the zip drive. Just want to make sure that you know that we've used everything that you provided to us. And we also received a message back from Celeste Carter, who is a program director there. Many of you know Celeste, that it was just an awesome report, and how appreciative she is of the work that's being done by CCPI-STEM. So with that, I might ask if there are any questions with regard to what I've shared as it relates to the regional network chairs. And if we're all good, you all know, Dan, we've worked together. You know, I like the 3-second rule is where I am. You have to raise your hand in 3 seconds or we're going to keep moving. So, and we will have an opportunity for questions later. So with that, let me turn it over to June Fordham, and she'll talk about the regional network coordinators. Thanks, June.
Okay, thank you, Charlene. Let me first mention, I don't think I see everyone on my screen. So if you raise your hand, I may not see you. So either speak up or somebody else make me aware of that. I am June Fordham, CCPI-STEM coordinator. I came on board last December, and my main role is to communicate between the leadership team and the regions, and the coordinator's position was more formalized at about the same time, so that I work more directly with the coordinators. I'm between them, and then they're between the leadership team and me and their chairs. Couple comments about what's happened already. First of all, as we planned the agenda, we thought it would be nice to lead off with the updates or plans from the regions, but I think those of you that reported exceeded expectations. You obviously put in time in the past month or two to talk to your coordinators, to think about what you could be doing in the upcoming year, and thank you for sharing that. I think there's really good stuff going on. One of the words I was going to use later was proactive. You know, don't wait until we remind you that, gee, you're supposed to have a regional meeting in the fall. And certainly you are obviously not doing that because you've all got great ideas. There will be a full contact list of the leadership and chairs and coordinators and other positions related to CCPI distributed. I don't think it's gone out yet, but it's almost in final form. We've got a few last minute changes. So we certainly encourage you to communicate with each other and share ideas as well, especially with the new folks on board. We understand the position you're in. We will have a meeting. I'm hope to have it by now, but things were busy. Hopefully in the next 2 weeks, we'll have a meeting of the new chairs and coordinators, just as a separate group to be able to answer your questions or to provide you with some other information as well before we then go on to our chairs and coordinators meetings. Charlene Newkirk, I will get you a list that I have almost done of the presidents of Ohio. As you may have discovered, it's very hard to find president contact information on the web, so that may be a task for Benita. I know you got lists from Ned for West Virginia and Pennsylvania, which he had added to from what the basics were that I gave. Also, you mentioned a survey to your colleges. Just a note, Blake will probably mention something related to surveys, so don't spend too much time on your own survey. There sounds like similarity there that she could provide you, or it will be available for what sounds like you're seeking.
Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to discuss the roles of the responsibilities of coordinators. Like Charlene, I don't want to go down bullet by bullet, but I would give the overview and highlight, and then I'd like to make you aware of the what we're now calling the participating institutions. And Charlene gave good reasons why we decided to change, although you will see affiliates mentioned frequently, and it's kind of I don't think we're going to get rid of it, but it's not a formal relationship, but it is referring to those colleges that are in your regions and so forth. As she went through the responsibilities of chairs, you heard RN coordinator mentioned frequently. Utilize a coordinator to inform, work with the coordinator to organize, provide the coordinator with information, ensure the coordinator inputs data. Those two are hand in hand, those last two. Taking a look at the coordinator's responsibilities, I just highlighted a couple that are kind of umbrella ones that really encompass everything. Assist the RN chair in building and sustaining the regional network, be the conduit between the CCPI leadership and the RN chair, and be the point person for data collection and entry for the regional network. And I think all the nitty-gritty bullets are really falling under those categories. So I will let the coordinators and chairs who have had this list for a while can look at that. I would like to talk, you will hear more also about evaluation related things from Blake, I'm sorry, pretty quick. We are asking that the data be monthly and that we get monthly updates. Again, we're trying to avoid what happened in a couple situations where a lot of the data that was needed for the evaluation, the annual report, was not input till very late in the year, June and July, as it was coming down to the crunch time for the reports. So I think it would be very helpful for everyone to have that in when the activities are fresh and we can see what's going on during it. One of the first bullet on the list was establish and maintain the list of the RN affiliates or participating institutions. And I want to talk a little about that. And I would like to, Beth, who has been working on it with me from the website page site, will also bring them up shortly. Okay, as Charlene said, we did without, from feedback from the chairs, that consent form that we understood loud and clear was very difficult to get presidents to sign. We thought it was necessary when we were going to use the word affiliates and get them on the web, and gee, they should really know about it and maybe give their approval. So now we think participating is a little safer, more neutral. But what I did was get all of the attendees from the webcasts and of the dialogue from Fran, took all those colleges, got the regional meeting attendees from the regions, got all of them, got colleges, and this may not be totally inclusive, but got what I could get from the regions in terms of presidents meeting directly with individual presidents of certain institutions, put them all together. And I wish I had a number for you. Charlene asked me earlier and it escapes me, and I removed my second monitor where I could have pulled it up while I was listening. In terms of how many unique colleges were represented there, but the numbers were good and impressive. What I did then was to break it down by region and then by state. And we felt that was a good way to post it on the webpage. So someone could go, someone in North Carolina hears about CCPI-STEM, they go to the website and then they look at participating institutions. And they see all the ones, including many of their colleagues' institutions that are on the website. So that's what we'll look at in just a minute. I will, in the next few days, send to each of the chairs a list of the colleges in their region with that detailed, did they attend webcasts? It doesn't say which one, but one or more, dialogue, meeting with chair, and regional meetings. Okay. I think that's going to be very useful information because number one, it shows you how many, but it also shows the colleges, the areas where we've really reached out and have had some involvement. And it also, for those that aren't listed, shows maybe where you need to target a little bit more. So if you have 5 states in your region and you see that, and this is hypothetical, you see that only 2 colleges are represented, or 2 states are represented, we would suggest that their efforts be made to draw in more colleges from those other states. Okay, and institutions that are from states that may have been represented but have not yet been involved at all with CCPI. So that's one of the things we're going to encourage is we want to keep connections with those we have, but we want to broaden the connections and draw on more people, make them informed about CCPI and SFAT grants. So again, give me a few days and that should come to you, and I'm happy to answer individual questions once you receive them, or Q&A at the end of this meeting. Let's see if I think it's time to show them what we've got. So Beth is going to pull up share her screen and pull up what you would see. Okay, so here's the homepage for the CCPI-STEM project website, and they can choose right there, that menu above, participating institutions. That may be changed to academic institutions. Okay, and from that comes this list. Again, the heading will be changed with academic added. Here are the 8 regions that exist. We're going to use Midwest an example. So if someone's interested in Midwest region, they would click on that. And one of the things going to be worked on is that that SIPI banner that pulled down. So you have the region name, and then you have each of the states with the colleges in each state listed in alphabetical order. This is a long list. So when you choose a region on the previous screen, it takes you to that point or anchor on this big long list. But once you're there, it's possible to scroll down and see them all. The two new regions actually have some colleges that participated in activities. I will provide those to Beth again in the next few days, and they will be posted. Mountain region had 3 or 4, and I think they were all webcast attendees. The Three Rivers region had several, and part of that was because Pennsylvania had been part of the Northeast region. West Virginia had heard about SIPI and had contacted Ann or Ned about interest in attending something. So you do have some of those also. And there is, and again, we will have those lists more complete later. There also were a lot of colleges, 36 in all from 11 states, that did not fit into any of the active regions. So they were states that had learned from other sources. Could have been webcast, it could have been the dialogue, which was also sponsored by the league, right? And they attended. So we want to also recognize them, but that'll be a separate category until we get regions that those states may fit into. Any feedback or thoughts on that? I think it's pretty impressive, the numbers that we are showing as having been involved and impacted by our work. No? Look okay, hopefully. We will continue to work on that. It will be updated, not immediately. So don't tell me, my chair talked to so-and-so about SIPI, here's a new name. I can keep track of them. And when I said we said on the responsibilities that the chair would maintain the list, it'll actually be, or the coordinator will maintain the list. The coordinator and I will work together on it. I think I'll probably keep the master list, but I certainly need input from the coordinator as well. Okay, so probably every, it depends. If you have a regional meeting, then it's likely that you are going to have a larger number of ones to be added. And again, it's unique, so we would do that. Just an FYI, for the regional meetings, and probably more for Charlene and new folks, we had 6 regions that had the meetings in the spring, and they averaged 28 attendees from 19 different colleges. And it was over 111 or so colleges that were represented, and 170 people total that went to the regional meetings for those 6 regions. So it's a good way to reach out and to involve these folks. Obviously, geography is not an issue with a Zoom meeting. So. Okay, a couple closing comments. My right page here. All right. As I thought about the responsibilities of the coordinators and all that we're asking you to do, both chairs and coordinators, I came up with the 2 terms, coordination and communication. And I think communication is a real key here in terms of what each of you is doing. There's the communication of the leadership to the coordinator. And I get things like, please pass along this information about the mentoring programs. So it would be sent to me, I send it to the coordinators, the coordinator and chair would decide how they want to disseminate it. So again, your mailing lists, which should keep growing as you make more contacts and so forth, are key to passing along this information. We may have webcast information. Again, it's posted on the website, but it also will be channeled. We know there's that fine line between filling up their inboxes and having them, hit the button too quickly without reading it. So we try to be careful about that. But communication, again, the communication between your region and your affiliates / participating colleges is key. That's one of the main ways they're going to find out about information. Some of the things said earlier were emphasis on business and industry partnerships. It's great to hear that you're focusing on that, already thinking of that. Certainly the leadership has thought that was very important. We heard your messages about rural and minority institutions. And again, we'll do that and you'll likely see a lot of information. And then coordination. So I would suggest that the chair and the coordinator get together, and it sounds like some of you may have already with these plans for this year, but get together and work out how you're going to be working together. One of the key things, and Blake may address this as well, is the data collection. So if the coordinator needs to report it and enter in the system, then get a system going where that person is provided with all the necessary information that the chair has been involved in and active in, as well as things like attendees for meetings that you may have, just to make that easier to accomplish. And for those of you that have been working together, has it worked well the way we're doing it? Do we want to tweak, our system? Some people see everybody on a regular basis, daily. Others, with retirees and so forth, they're probably going to have to make a more conscious effort to decide how to work together effectively and most productively. So, but I think we're off to a good start for the year. Things are exciting. And if you have any questions now or ask them later, I'd be happy to answer them, and we'll follow up as well with folks. So, thank you.
Okay, any questions for June? Okay, 3 seconds passed. So no, I'm teasing. I will say that one of the things, and we'll ask Vera to speak to the thought leaders dialogue and where we are with that when you talk about President's Press and the like. But we are getting a number of calls from other grant recipients who are really asking us, how are you all pulling all of these people together? We're reaching out to community colleges and we're not really getting the kind of response that we like. And they're asking in some cases if they can work with us. Can they do a joint webcast or CCPI-STEM as we like to call them with us? Can they understand what our secret sauce is? And so we're not going to give out any of your names or contact information because you're our secret sauce in this work. However, we do want you to know that other PIs and co-PIs are noticing our work. They've been on some of the webcasts and whatnot. They've talked to other presidents, and they're really excited about where there might be opportunities for collaboration and working together. And we're trying to figure those things out, because we also want to make sure, as we want to be good partners, we also know that we have a list of goals and outcomes and whatnot that we need to reach to. So just want you to know that your work is not going unnoticed. I think the other thing that I'd like to add as we think about this, before I turn it over to Blake, is that, we have the Fellows Program, and George, I think, will talk about that a little later, he and Ashok, but even helping us identify mentors would be helpful as we're working with these professionals who are in graduate school and the like, finishing up their doctorates, but they're very much interested in STEM and workforce research. So we'll come back to that a little later as well, but wanted to make sure that I did not neglect to mention it. So Blake, we're going to get to like the real exciting
Charlene,
part, and that's
Charlene?
Yes, Anne?
Yes, your comment made me reflect on a conversation I had recently, and I wonder if there's an opportunity here. So I was talking with a consultant recently whose job is basically to help institutions that have applied for and received NSF grants but are effectively failing to administer them. And so, the notion that there are colleges that received grants, sort of promising institutional partners that they're not able to deliver. I'm wondering if there's a role of CCPI-STEM to sort of do like a post-grant award workshop, because the fact that I ran into a guy whose entire job is basically going around the country and helping people repair their failing grants suggests that this is a significant issue.
Okay. Wow. Vera, you want to respond to any of that, you or Beth?
Yes, I think Beth probably
Liz.
knows more about the program that's offered by Mentor Connect. Beth, you want to talk about that? But you're on the mute.
Okay, yes, I'll be happy to speak about that program that you mentioned, Vera. Mentor Connect is piloting a program called PI 101, and one of the Enforce is participating in that pilot program with one of our mentee colleges who received an award, an ATE award last year. So that's one thing that is happening in the ATE community. We realize that, okay, you think it's hard to get the grant, but sometimes it might be even harder to implement the grant. So, I'm President Kress. I would be interested to know a little bit more about this consultant that goes around the country helping. I put in the chat, which I know you can't see because you're driving. I said, I think it's a great idea. And I think that we could leverage the networks of CCPI-STEM and our partnerships with Mentor Up and Mentor Connect and Force to really help our community colleges succeed after they get the award.
Thank you. And then I think Liz.
I was just going to say the same thing that Beth just said, that Mentor Up is trying this. I mean, Mentor Connect is doing this year. I would say, though, also that another benefit of participating in one of the mentoring programs is that you've been assigned a mentor who's gone through all of this before. And I know a lot of the mentors have been at least as helpful with getting them to implement the grant as they were to getting it originally, because it gave them someone to talk to and call. So, but we hope we'll have something more formal in the next year.
Okay, so we'll also take what you said, Anne, into consideration and at least talk about it and figure out where there might be other resources, or as Beth said, the connection with this consultant to see where there are opportunities for us to lean in, and at least share the information with Celeste and others about where there might be some possibilities. And I think with that, I'm going to turn it over to Blake to talk about evaluation for sure, Blake.
Thank you, Charlene. Okay, so let me preface my few minutes by saying I am still using the term affiliates. So I'm slowly transitioning away, but you'll hear me use that term today. Before all of our tools go live, obviously we'll make sure that the verbiage on the evaluation instruments is completely in sync with what CCPI-STEM is using. So I'm going to give you a quick snippet from the executive summary of the evaluation report. I think it's about 2 pages. If you want to read it, it is at the tail end of the annual report in that zip list of documents that Charlene sent earlier. So the RA chairs logged hundreds of interactions with college presidents and statewide association representatives in their efforts to recruit institutions to become affiliates of their respective RNs. 6 region-specific affiliate meetings were held between February and April 2023. Total of 170 attendees representing 111 institutions participated in one of the RN affiliate meetings. So kudos to all of you. You are definitely doing a great job. A lot of momentum was gained in year 2. I want to again reiterate the importance of trying to showcase the contributions of each regional network and your affiliates to the mission of CCPI-STEM as a whole. So based on some of the feedback that we received from the RN coordinators and areas we identified where data collection has been sparse, we are proposing 2 big changes for the data collection mechanisms that will usher in program year 3. So the first is, in lieu of the RN affiliate survey that we've used for the last 2 years, we are going to basically transition that to a Google form. We think that this will be a little bit easier in terms of getting respondents to complete it. So what we will ask is that as maybe 5 minutes is allocated for this purpose during your affiliate meetings. You can put the link right in the chat. They can click on it and take it in real time. I know, Charlene N., you had mentioned something about a survey. So the one that we've proposed is very brief. We had a much larger version. We've scaled it down over the 2 years. So basically, we asked them if they have a current ATE award. And then if they don't, there's a skip logic. So we ask if they're interested in securing ATE funding. We asked them one open-ended question, which is, how does your institution stimulate STEM faculty to seek NSF funding and or participate in the NSF review process? And then we asked them to identify their top 3 region-specific challenges facing institutions with regard to building a STEM pipeline and meeting STEM workforce needs, and then their top 3 ideas for improving their institution's connections with business and industry and the academic community. And then lastly, what they hope to gain from participating in their regional network. So that will be, again, transition from SurveyMonkey to a Google form, and we'll make sure that you all have the link for that. So there are several metrics in the outcomes matrix for which we really have not been able to capture good data as of yet. So we want to get a better feel for who is familiar with the ATE competition, what is their capacity, the capacity of their institution to develop a proposal, and then highlight their new collaborations with both academic and industry partners. And then the second item, which is the bigger of the two, if you will. So I've been working with Beth and June and Vera to come up with a Google form. This is going to take the place of what you're familiar with, which is the existing CCPI-STEM data collection platform. So there'll be a single web link that you receive, though you don't need login credentials. There's no logging in whatsoever. It will be the same link for all of program year 3 and perhaps the duration of the project as a whole. And this is where you will enter the information that we've been requesting all along. We've streamlined it a little bit. We're hoping to make it easier. One of the RN coordinators, we did ask for some feedback, just a quick beta test. So the link that you will receive is what you're going to use to talk about things like networking, dissemination, partnerships, etc. Once you submit an entry, there will be an option to edit your response. So if there's something that you forgot or you want to go back and update it, you can do that. So very quickly, I'm going to share my screen. This is just a snippet. So again, you'll have the link, and this is the data collection form. Your email address will populate. And then the first page is demographics. Again, the date and your name, I believe, should populate. And then you'll just select your region from a drop-down list. And then here's just one example. So this is key, obviously, dissemination. So it's divided into networking, presentations, and publications. So the one you're looking at here is networking. This is where it looks like most of the RN chairs, they had very robust networking efforts in year 2. So you would identify the event date, the event type. This would be a drop-down. This would be a conference, a symposium, a virtual meeting, what have you. And then the name of the event. The name of the CCPI-STEM representative, more than likely it's going to be your RN chair. And then the title and name of who they networked and the affiliation of this individual. So, you know, John Doe, president of community college. So this type of information is really important for us. There's 3 items here. There'll be another one for presentations. And again, it's very streamlined. You put in sort of as much information as you have available. The key, like a title, date, location, things like that. So we really want to capture the efforts that you all are making in your respective regions. And then this is the closing screen, and you'll see here there's a link where you'll be able to edit your response. This will come to your email if need be. So we'll go into this more with a little more clarity, and we can walk through the individual screens at the next coordinators meeting that June is organizing. But I just wanted to give you sort of a quick snippet of what we've done. Our intentions are to make it easier, to make sure that we're capturing as much data as possible, because if it's not coming from you and the other tool that I spoke about from your affiliates, then we really have no way of capturing what's happening in terms of networking and partnerships, publications, etc. So it's really important that we continue to collect data as much as possible. And this is what informs not only the evaluation report, but the annual report as well.
Okay. Any questions of Blake?
Blake, is that complete now? Are you in the process of building it? And if you are, what is the time frame?
We are in the process of building it. That's correct. I believe our time frame is hopefully to have it up probably within the next 2.5 weeks, so we can debut it during the mid to late October coordinators meeting that June's organizing.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And Beth put her thumbs up to say that that's about the right time frame. We know that Blake and Beth are working together on that. So, and I know that they'll probably have a time, you may have said this, Blake, to sort of showcase it as needed, right? To the coordinators.
Yeah.
Yes, during the October coordinators meeting, we'll go over it. And then, of course, we're always available if you have any questions or challenges. But we think it's really going to simplify. There's no login. There's no issues. I can't get in. It's a link. It's the same link for everyone throughout. So as long as you have that link, you should be good to go. Ideally, we'd like you to make your entries on a monthly basis. So we're not trying to archive all of this information for 10 months and then get it all in come July when we're putting the reports together. So if you could maybe make a note for yourself, if it's 15th of every month, whatever it is, but to make sure that we're getting this information in periodically would be ideal.
Okay, great. Thanks, Blake. And we're going to move on to Vera. And Vera, I know you'll talk about President's Press, regional spotlights, and then maybe just a little bit about the Thought Leader Dialogue Report.
Okay, thank you, Charlene. As some of you know, last year we initiated the publication called President's Press. It's a newsletter, CP newsletter, which comes out 4 times a year, 2 in fall, 2 in spring. And this year we are continuing the same program. The first President's Press is going to come out in October. It will be ready for the October 25th meeting, Affinity Group meeting, and it will be shared with all of you both digitally and in hard copy. We are going to have hard copies for the Affinities meeting so that everybody can receive one. What we are changing this year, what President's Press contains. So far, it has been just 1 page, and on that page, we had highlights of the activities, CP activities, not regional activities that have occurred. We also had a list of events that are going to follow, and usually we were highlighting one of the activities, depending. This year, we are adding something, and that will be page 2. So it will be front and back. And on page 2, we are going to have briefs of the interviews that Madeline Patton, who is the writer and editor for CP, will put together and write. She has had for the first volume, which is going to come in October. She had interviews with Charlene Newkirk and with Jennifer Wimbish. And those 2 will be, the briefs will be on the back, and they will be linked to longer articles, which you can read, the complete interview articles. But we are also adding another thing. We thought that it's not sufficient to just talk to the RN chair of the region. We wanted to spotlight the activities in each region. And today you shared some excellent ideas and exciting activities that you are planning to have this year. So it will be important for us to know what they are and for you to report them to us, so that sometimes in spring, typically April, May time, we would like to have a complete publication spotlighting each one of the 8 regions. Not you as RN chairs, of course you are the leader, but spotlighting the activities, the new partnerships that occurred, the new businesses that were involved, the new grants that occurred, the interest, the webinars, the webcasts that you offered, the number of institutions, the something very special that occurred in your region, in one of the states in your region. That's a kind of thing that NSF wants to see and learn, and that is a kind of thing that will be in these spotlights. And we are going to have each one of the spotlights. So whether we devote a half a page or 1 page to the spotlight will really depend on how much we have, but we cannot do it without your help. We are going to need all this information gathered from you. And then that spotlight will be published again, both digitally, publication will be published both digitally and in hard copy. This will be shared with NSF, with all of you, and with the world. And also it will be of immense help to both Blake when she writes her evaluation report and to me when I write the annual report. So I'm looking forward very much to learning what it is that you will be doing, because it seems that there is a lot of excitement, a lot of good plans, and a lot of great ideas that you shared. And I also wanted, that Charlene reminded me to share with you what about the community college thought dialogue initiative that we started last year. We had one in November. It was well attended. We had close to 100 people participating. And typically it starts with a discussion. Charlene made the introductions. We have some basically panel discussion possibly, and then breakout rooms. So this time we are planning to have, please write it down, February 9 from 12 to 1:30 Eastern Standard Time. It will be obviously on Zoom, and it will be an event where we are going to focus specifically this time on small rural institutions, minority serving institutions, and native institutions. And so then the breakout rooms will follow the same themes. Madeline Patton will be again the one who will be present at all of that. She will write the report. She will write the whole, we are going to publish the outcomes and the report. One of the issues we are looking forward to, and some of you have shared that, to learn about the challenges and the needs of these institutions, because their needs are not the same as those of a large community college or an urban community college. So that's what we are trying to identify, and that's what NSF is actually also looking for. So with that, I also want to say that the dialogue is almost ready to be printed, and we are going to have it again in digital form, which we are going to send to all of you, but we are also going to have hard copies of the report, which we are going to have available on October 25th. And by the way, I think one of us, I forgot who, mentioned the October 25th meeting, which is face-to-face. We have 36 participants coming, which is exciting. We are going to have fellows coming. We are going to have industry people, and we are going to have a number of academicians, and we are going to introduce the CP curriculum that George will actually mention later. So, any questions for me?
What was the date of that dialogue? I'm sorry, I missed it.
It's February 9 from 12 to 1:30. And in the next President's Press, which comes out in October in 2 weeks, the events are listed and it is also listed there.
If I may add, it's also listed on the homepage of the SIPI website. It's the last entry under upcoming events.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I know that our time is, I'm watching the clock. So we're going to, now, George, that doesn't mean that you and Ashok have to, only say 3 words, but we do want you to talk about the curriculum modules, and maybe if you just, again, with the fellows and the mentors.
Right. Thanks, Charlene. So we are in the final stages of the development of the modules that we hope will be used in leadership development programs and doctoral programs to prepare community college leaders. So I guess we're asking for your help in identifying places where we could pilot those modules. I'm teaching a doctoral class this fall, so I will be incorporating one of the modules in my class. But if you know of any leadership development institutes or doctoral programs that might be interested in piloting those modules, they're on Canvas and can be incorporated into the LMS of the institution or the institute. Please let us know. And I'd like Ashok actually to talk about the help that we need to identify mentors for our fellows. So Ashok.
Thank you, George. Ashok Agrawal. Again, my engagement in this program or this project began in May of 2022. And from that time on, the first activity was essentially publicizing the Fellows Program, working with the leadership team, as well as with Beth and Fran. And right now, we are, as you probably have already seen in various publications and on the website, we have 6 fellows who were selected last year, and they're continuing on their activity. And as George mentioned, one of the critical part of Fellows Program is providing them mentorship. And these mentors are supposed to be, hopefully, mostly community college leaders at president or vice president level, both active and emeritus CEOs, and that is a big component of the program. That is the challenge, that we will make sure that we have sufficient number of individuals who are willing to serve as mentors. Anyway, so continuing on with the program, as I mentioned, we have 6 fellows right now. We are starting to publicize and go through the screening process for fellows for 23-24 cycle. We have received a number of applications, and the screening committee is in the process of selecting those applications, reviewing those applications. Hopefully by end of this year, we would have selected anywhere between 5 or 6 or 7, depending upon number of qualified applicants and depending upon the funding and so on. We hope to stay in that number. And essentially, you will also get a chance to meet these 6 fellows who are currently engaged in the CCPI program at the ATPI meeting, as was mentioned earlier. But as I will emphasize again, the critical need we have in the fellows program is identifying mentors for these fellows. And what we would like to put a challenge, I guess, if I may be so bold to say that, is we would like to have at least 1, possibly 2 mentors from each of the regions. So we have, good number of individuals who are actively, leadership individuals who are actively involved in the fellows program, and that will be a big help in keep the program going. And also our fellows will find it more valuable and more fulfilling if they are able to connect with leaders like you. Charlene and George, I can add anything else that you would like, or is that sufficient?
I think it is, and we'll certainly keep getting the information out for you as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
As we look at our remaining time, you'll notice on the agenda that we have some proposed webcast dates. Some of those will change. I don't know about you all, but my email is blowing up, that there is an expectation that there will be a government shutdown. And for some of our colleagues who we've asked to be a part of those webcasts, they are going to be impacted by that. So, and that's why you see the notice proposed dates, and we'll certainly change those and keep you posted as we continue to move forward and determine what will happen as it relates to the hundreds of thousands of individuals who will be impacted by a shutdown. The other thing we put on the calendar is our next series of regional network chairs meetings, which are the first Friday of every month. If anything happens with regard to those, that we'll send out an email of cancellation. So we would never, unless it, and I don't think we've done it, we would only do it under some really extreme circumstances, try to reschedule a meeting. We're always cognizant of the fact, especially for those of you who are certainly still serving as presidents, that that you all have calendars that you have to see to as well. And many of the regional coordinators are still working within higher education. So we do want to see if anyone has any burning question with regard to what you've heard today. You can also send questions to us, and we'll certainly be prepared to answer them. And we'll treat it just like a board, the way I used to do. If one RN chair or one coordinator sends us a question, we're going to share the question and the response with everyone. All right? So anything else for the good of the order before we give you your time back today? Beth?
One quick message I put in the chat. I heard from some of the reports that you may need some assistance with social media. Just feel free to reach out to me because we have a company that helps us with that. I put my email in the chat.
Okay, and we're really looking forward to seeing many of you at the end of October at the ATEPI conference. But anything you need, don't hesitate to reach out to us. And I think we've taken care of your registrations. You all have taken care of your hotels. And then we'll certainly work with you on the back end with regard to the financial matters. So thanks everyone for being with us today. We are recorded, and we're going to send the recording to those who were unable to join. Jane Karras has sent several messages back and forth. They're having some tech issues on their end, but they've been trying to get into the meeting the entire time. So take care. Thanks for
Charlene.
Yes.
Charlene.
Jennifer.
Charlene. I want to just pause to say thank you. With me being a new RN coming into the entire team, we have certainly, Ellen and I see ourselves as a team, but we have certainly felt supported. And when colleges had questions, they appreciated the speed with which you all responded. So thank you to the entire team.
Thank you, Jennifer. And look, we couldn't do this if it weren't for all of you. So thanks for your commitment. Enjoy the weekend. And I don't know about you, but my fingers are crossed and I'm praying that we don't have a shutdown. Take care and stay safe and stay well.